is a case that I really, really think we need to give more attention to, because it's just kind of sitting there right now, and it's utterly ridiculous that nothing has progressed any further in finding this woman's killer. I'm talking about Ellen Ray Greenberg. She was a 27-year-old first grade teacher whose sudden death in Philadelphia of January 2011 sparked a lot of controversy and uncertainty. She was found dead in her apartment, stabbed 20 times, including 10 to her neck and back.
Yes, please throw that part in there, because that's the most important part of this entire story, Tony.
That is, okay, so keep in mind, stabbed 20 times, including 10 times to her neck and back, including her head, too. If you look at the autopsy and the infographics that are out there on it, police initially did treat the case as a homicide due to the multiple stab wounds and the fact that someone was stabbed 10 times in the back of their neck and back. However, it was ruled a homicide. The medical examiner, the medical examiner's office suggested that the injuries could have been self-inflicted. I'd love to know where this medical examiner got their education or has this idea that someone can even physically do this. But that was their conclusion, and to this day, it still sits as a suicide. It's a haunting story. Ellen's parents, Sandy and Joshua Greenberg, returned home to discover police cars outside their daughter's apartment complex. They were obviously devastated to learn that Ellen had been found dead inside the locked apartment. The details surrounding her death, very puzzling. Despite the suspicious nature of her death, the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office changed its initial ruling of homicide to suicide in March of 2011. The decision was based on a toxology report. Now, here's what also makes no sense.
Yeah.
Your decision to base and change something from a homicide with 20 stab wounds, including to the back, was based on the fact that she had a small amount of alcohol in her system and traces of prescription anti-anxiety medicines. I tell you what, that's me on a daily fucking basis. And
I was just going to say, that's easily half to 3/4 of the population, really.
That's every day. Yeah. For me. That's like if you were to do a toxology in me at about 9 o'clock at night, you'd find both. But I can also guarantee I didn't develop magical powers to stab myself 20 times in the back, or 10 in the back, 10 in the front. Including,
can we talk about that for just a second?
Yeah.
This morning I had an itch in the back, like between my shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grab a pen to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then once you sent this story to me, I hadn't heard of it until today. I went to the kitchen and I grabbed a butter knife because I wasn't going to use a sharp knife.
Oh, wow.
But I pretended,
oh God,
and I practice yoga, so I am extremely flexible. I pretended to put the knife, and I'm doing the motion as I'm saying this, to pretend to stab myself. There is no way that the trajectory of a very flexible person even could do what those stab wounds look like. I saw the autopsy report. There is no fucking way that this woman did this to herself.
No, it's utterly impossible. I mean,
and she's got this huge gash in the back of her skull. Even one of these stab wounds, one of them out of 20, would have probably been so horrifically painful she would not have been able to continue on and do the rest.
I think it would take you out on some, because I believe some of them were like almost into her brain.
Yep.
And I could see maybe you get one in the back and then you're done. You can't, because you have to pull it out. And it wasn't like this, the person grabbed
20 knives.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you can feel my rage just bubbling, because I just don't understand. And there was something else, that she was found seated upright in an upright position, but she had dried blood sideways on her face. Can you tell me how that happens? I would love to ask the medical examiner, how did that happen?
I would love to know more about this medical examiner. I mean, it's such a sad thing when the people that we rely on to connect the dots fail so miserably. It's not even just like, oh, we missed that, and one could go, that's understandable. I mean, this or that could be missed here and there. This is just, did someone pay you to give a different take on this completely, or what?
That's what I'm wondering too. What's going on behind the scenes? They had a closed door meeting, and then they changed the status of the cause of death. Mm-hmm. What happened in that meeting? I want to know who paid who, because right now, none of this makes any sense.
No, I mean, Ellen's parents have also disagreed with the ruling firmly of suicide. They even hired private investigators and forensic pathologists who found multiple irregularities in the initial investigation. Greenberg's experts pointed to the improbability of someone stabbing themselves so violently in such a manner. The ongoing investigation and legal battle have been marked by various twists and turns. It just keeps going. The interesting thing here is, okay, well, what about the boyfriend or the fiance in this case? This is the first person you typically look at in any sort of case. He's never been tried. He's never been accused of this other than the public, but he's never had any charges brought against him. Samuel Goldberg is his name, and was never considered a suspect or person of interest in her death. The excuse, the alibi that Samuel Goldberg has is he was at the gym at the time of Ellen's death. Surveillance footage confirmed his alibi. In addition, the apartment door was bolted from the inside when police arrived, which would have made it difficult for anyone else to have been in the apartment with Ellen and then exit while leaving the door bolted from the inside. Therefore, the police did not have sufficient reason to suspect Goldberg's involvement. However, many, including Ellen's parents, have expressed concern about the thoroughness of the initial investigation, arguing that the investigation was too quick to conclude suicide and did not fully explore all potential leads, including thoroughly interrogating all potential persons of interest.
She also had, I saw in one of the notes, one of the stories, that she had bruises at various stages of healing. Now, that would be worth pursuing. What were these bruises from?
Yeah.
Was this an abusive relationship of some sort? I'm concerned about Samuel's description of him breaking down the door. He had told authorities that he had kicked down the door, that he busted it down. The door is in no way, shape, or form looking like it had been busted down.
No, I also question being locked from the inside. How locked was it from the inside? There are ways of getting doors unlocked when you have the hook and chain or whatever it was to get it open from the outside if you were to mess around with it enough. And I believe there wasn't any signs of actually that sort of violent act occurring. Like, I don't know, maybe the hook and chain or whatever was holding the door being ripped off the wall, because that would likely have had to have happened or would have broken at some point if that's what happened. But all of it was very much intact.
Yeah, his story is not adding up, and it just, something about it just stinks. The whole thing just stinks. And it's not so much that her parents want her cause of death to be changed back to homicide. They want some vindication. They want somebody to be held accountable for the death of their absolutely beautiful daughter. And right now, that killer is out there, because I'm sorry, that killer was not her.
No, it wasn't her. And we don't know that it was Samuel. We don't know if maybe Samuel hired someone to pull this off while he was at the gym, because, yes, he was seen on the surveillance camera. It's, I don't know, it's a very big mystery, but one thing we do know is this was not a suicide. And, no. and if we can't even agree on the cause of death being homicide, I mean, as the foundation of this, you're not going to get the resources to investigate this further. You're not going to have anything to really move further other than independently as her parents have been doing for the last more than 10 years now.
It's just awful.
I don't know what it will take to get that to change, but I know they have reopened the investigation, but that's kind of where it's been sitting now for a couple months. They've reopened it. The first thing I think would be to change the cause of death. Once that's been changed, then you can actually start getting resources from the government, from the police force to investigate this in a much more thorough way, something that should have been done many years ago. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see where this goes. As far as I know, her former fiance is a TV executive and has not really made any public statements about this anytime recently. And he's living his life. I believe he's remarried and is just living normal life. And maybe he did have absolutely nothing to do with this. But I would also be, I don't know, this is just me speaking, and it's not meaning anything here. But if you have the love of your life at the time being violently murdered in your apartment, and you somehow have escaped any sort of scrutiny of being looked at in this, I think I would be making it my life's mission to try and figure out who the hell did this.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we've seen that so many times too, that there are family members, spouses, that this is all that's driving them is, I need to get this solved. And he's just moved on. So yeah, we're being a little judgmental, at least I am, but you would think he would have said something.
You would think there'd be more. I don't know. I mean, there's many things attorneys are going to say, don't say a word, because that's going to make you look more culpable in this. So maybe he's following that advice. At some point, all these years later, though, I don't know. I mean, I think right from the get-go, if you have nothing to hide and you are innocent and you have the security camera that backs you up and you truly had nothing to do with this, yeah, you can move on with your life at some point. You can get remarried and do all that. But your significant other in the future, I think, would understand, you know, if you're still fighting this battle to find justice for this person that you were once engaged to. The whole, no, that didn't work out. She's dead, and let's keep going. And I'm hoping there was more to it than just that. But the way the silence in this is deafening.
It really is. And I found a website that is showing the crime scene, the kitchen where she was making her fruit salad at the time of her death. And there's just blood everywhere. This doesn't appear to be, to me, a suicide. Suicide doesn't, it seems weird to me. I've had several, this sounds gross, but several friends and family members that have killed themselves. And it is a very messy thing, but it seems a little more contained than what this looks like. And you don't sit and make yourself a fruit salad before you kill yourself. That's not typically something you do. You don't make food for later in the day. You might have a last meal.
Yeah. But it's usually eaten then. It's not just kind of sitting on the, like, all right, I was going to eat this fruit salad, but you know what? I think I'm going to stab myself 20 times now and just end it.
Precisely.
It's not how one ends their life. I would challenge, has there ever been a suicide where one has stabbed themselves 20 times in this manner? Ever documented? I'm going to guess no.
Yeah.
It's one that we're going to continue to follow for you right here. So press subscribe so you don't miss that. Murder in the morning. And if you want to weigh in on this case, phone number 888-5-KILLER, 888-554-5537. From the Hit Killers Podcast, Murder